It's just a little joke that I say. Hey, for all we know, we could have came in on one of them ships. I don't know. They changed the names and they hid their manifest, right? I was told they didn't come over to these. Whatever. All right. So let's get back. They had brought them into the land of their enemies. If then the uncircumcised heart be humble, uncircumcised hearts be humble. See that? If the uncircumcised hearts be humble. So
from that disobedience,
right.
rebellion against the covenant, submit yourself unto YAH, his covenant. All these blessings will come upon you.
Wow. See, now we see this from a whole nother angle now, right? Because he's letting us know that the uncircumcised heart is the true circumcision. The fleshly circumcision is just a shadow of a true heart that's circumcised. Abraham, that's a good example. Abraham was a grown man when he was circumcised, and he was in submission to Yah. But because Yah said, this is the covenant shall be in your flesh, Abraham walked with Yah. But when he gave him a covenant, he said, now I want you to prove yourself by circumcising your flesh, right? And then I'm going to prove you again by having you to present your son as a sacrifice so that he can learn what sacrificing means, right? So it's twofold, right? So the uncircumcised heart is just like the grace that people use, right? It's the impartation, which expresses itself in an outward manifestation. Why wouldn't you want to get circumcised in the flesh if your heart is circumcised? That's the question that should be asked. It's not about religion. It's about dying to the flesh, right? It's painful, I'm sure. I was a kid when I was circumcised, so I don't know. I knew they see babies head. They said I was crying when it happened. Babies cry, but hey. All right. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and then they accept the punishment of their iniquity. Underline that, right? We are being punished because of the iniquity that was passed down from our fathers. And now we continue to repeat the same rebellion through ignorance. So, as long as we continue to disobey Yah, we'll continue to have punishment, right? Has it ever dawned on people why the policeman is shooting black people down the street? You keeping all they holy days, rejecting Yah's holy days, and you wonder why they shooting you down the streets. Nobody ever thought about it like that. You know, when George Floyd was killed by the police, and they interviewed somebody, the family, who said, he's not going to get to celebrate Christmas. Something like that, I think it was.
That was the other guy, the one that said, cannot be.
Oh, okay.
The mother of his children.
George Floyd. I'm talking about George.
Guy said, I cannot breathe.
That was George Floyd. Right.
Yeah, George Floyd. What?
Right, where the officer put his knee on his neck.
That was the story that happened in New York.
Oh, okay.
The guy that they killed in New York, the one that was saying I couldn't. Was saying
Okay. Well, George Floyd was I think somebody his family said. So, yeah. So they basically the point. He said somebody said Eric Gardner.
oh, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you're right. George Floyd's family could have said because
But yeah. But the point I'm making is whether it was George Floyd or Eric Gardner, who it was, rather than our people embracing the covenant, right? They still participating in the ways of the heathens, right? And so because of us participating through ignorance, the judgment still sits on us because we're walking in disobedience, right? So verse 42 says what? I will remember my covenant with Yaakov and with Isaac. Now, something else I wanted to pull out here real quick before we close down. The part we talked about in the outermost parts. Okay, that's Deuteronomy 30. Getting too twisted. All right, but that's what I want to read. All right, this Deuteronomy 30, right? The law yesterday, today, and forever. Never, ever, ever have I ever. That's what the kids be doing on the TikTok. Never, ever have I ever taught that we don't have to keep Yah's law. I take that back. I did teach that when I was in ignorance. All right, so Deuteronomy 30, we're going to read 1 through 4. All right, Deuteronomy 30, 1 through 4.
And it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations where the YAH thy Elohim have driven thee, and shalt return unto YAH thy Elohim, and shalt obey his voice according to all that I command thee this day, thou and thy children with all thine heart and with all thy soul, that then YAH thy Elohim will turn thy captivity and have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations where the YAH thy Elohim have scattered thee. If any of thine be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will YAH thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee.
That's good. All right, so verse 4 says what? If any be driven into the outermost parts of heaven. Who's that talking about?
Read.
Right, exactly. I was like, ding, 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 ding. So your prayers is instrumental in covering, right, those who sin through ignorance, right? As long as they weren't wicked and disobedient willfully, there's no redemption for a wicked, disobedient person intentionally on purpose. But a person who was just, because you got a lot of people got a lot of zeal, they sincere, but they ignorant. You ever try to witness to somebody and tell them that we children of Israel, and they get upset, they start going through the evil demons and Satan, I rebuke it now, blah, 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 blah. Right? They got a lot of zeal, but they're ignorant. That person, the Most High will deal with them in their private space. Say, now you just made yourself a fool. I brought somebody to you to present you the covenant, and you just attacked them. I get every now and then I get people call me on the phone or reach out to me and say, brother, years ago when you was on your original channel, I used to attack you, and I said you was a cult, this, that, and the other. Because we got some family members that's going, you gonna come in the covenant. Y'all dealing with it right now. Your heart being pricked. Because you have deemed what Yah has required to his seed that he chose as a cult, y'all gonna wake you up in your sleep, and your sleep is gonna leave you, and you're gonna be troubled in your minds. And you're gonna wake up. You might not call me back and let me know that you embraced it, but y'all will wake you up, right? And you're gonna wake up and you're gonna say, it's something to what that brother was saying. I was kicking against him because he was going against my faith. But he came out the book. And he didn't add to it. I say he twisted it because it went against what I believe. See, people say, oh, he twisting the scriptures. People say he twisting scriptures because it goes against what you believe. That ain't twisting it. When I read something face value, remember the seventh day, did I twist the scriptures? It says in the book that you carry. Remember the seventh day, not the first day of the week, right? We talked about last Shabbat. Remember the covenant.
Says the priests have violated the law. Is that a twisting?
Right. So that's where we come into play. I have a whole lot more, but I'm not going to cover. Not going to get into it. This week we'll have part 2 on it. I want to talk a little bit about. Let me give you 5 minutes of this here. I gotta kind of get your appetite wet because I want to show you. So let's see. Let's do this and we're gonna close it out. Let's go back to Galatians. Now we have a new understanding now of Galatians 3:16 now, right? We should have a new understanding of that now. After we know what that covenant was, right? That they broke. It was not the animal sacrifice, and it was not the law of Moses that was written down, but it was before it was the law of Moses. It was the law of YAH from creation, clean animals and sacrifices and all that pre-existed Moshe, as we just showed you in the scriptures. Abraham kept the law, statutes, and commandments, as we showed you in the scriptures, right? We didn't add nothing to it. We just read it right out the book. All right, so now, Galatians, I got Ephesians here. I messed up. Galatians 3. All right. So we left off about the 400 years, right?
We read verse 18.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Read verse 19 now.
Wherefore then serveth the law? It was added because of transgressions, till the seed should come to whom the promise was made, and it was ordained by the messengers in the hand of a mediator.
Mm-hmm.
Now a mediator is not a mediator of one, but YAH is one. Is the law then against the promises of YAH? YAH forbid. For if there had been a law given which could have given life, verily righteousness should have been by the law. But the scripture hath concluded all under sin, that the promise by faith of Yahshua the Messiah might be given unto them that believe.
Mm-hmm.
But before faith came, we were kept under the law, shut up unto the faith which should afterwards be revealed. Wherefore the law was our schoolmaster to bring us unto Yahshua, that we might be justified by faith. But after that faith is come, we are no longer under a schoolmaster.
That's good. That's good. So I did a lesson on that, and on Galatians 3. What it is and what it is and what it is not saying. And so basically, in a nutshell, what that's talking about is the law that was created for the priesthood, right? because the priesthood, the original priesthood, not the sons of Aharon, the sons of the Levites. We'll cover that in part 2. We'll get more. We're gonna go. We'll amplify this Galatians 3 for next week to show you that it's not saying what you think it's saying, because you think it's saying that you're not under the law no more.
It says in 21, it says the law is not against the promise
Right.
of YAH.
Right. So for you to believe that Galatians 3 is giving you a license to not obey the law of YAH shows that you're ignorant, and you need to sacrifice for ignorance. Right. So tune in next Shabbat and we'll break that down. I did a lesson on it to explain what Galatians 3 in being congruent to the law is saying, because the law was created after 430 years, because the Israelites that was supposed to be priesthood needed to have a priesthood established for them, right? And when you let's do this real quick. We'll close out with this. Let's go to Hebrews chapter. Let's read 7, and then we'll close out with 14. Okay, 7. We're gonna read Hebrews 7, and next Shabbat we'll amplify this 3rd chapter for those that were indoctrinated to believe that Galatians 3 is saying we're not under the law no more. Okay, so don't think you got one up on the brother, because the brother gonna show you.
And it said you cannot disannul it, you cannot make it of no effect.
Right. And I will debate anybody on Galatians 3. I'll debate you on it. Okay, to prove to you that that's not talking about obeying Yah, is that law. The law that law that came 430 years later was the covenant that he made with the nation that they broke. And so now the nation that was supposed to be priesthood needed priests for them. See. All right. So when we walk, that's why he's talking about the schoolmaster. The design of the schoolmaster is to bring the people of the priesthood back to the status of being priests. And I'm going to show it to you, and we're going to close this up and come back next Shabbat. All right. Hebrews 7, right? Hebrews 7 and 5. Hebrews 7. Okay.
And verily, Cody.
Oh,
That's my voice.
let's go up to verse 1. All right. All right. Hebrews 7:1. All right. Certainly. Hey, cuz you definitely welcome to come over, and we don't have to be on the camera. You want to come by and fellowship. I'm sure that's a Brenda. Okay. 7. Okay. Hebrews 7:1 says, for this Malak Sadak. That's how you say his name. Malak Sadak. Okay. It's not Melchizedek. But next week we'll break it down. We'll explain to you why it's not Melchizedek. It's Malak Sadak. It's 2 words that makes one. Malak means I'll give it to you. Okay, since you asked, I'll give it to you. Huh? She said they didn't ask. Malak means to reign inceptively, which is from the beginning, and to ascend the throne, to induct into royalty, to take counsel. Right? It also means to be dispatched, a messenger, prophet, priest, or teacher. Sadak means to be made right in a moral or forensic sense. What is forensic? Relating to use inappropriate for courts of law or for public discussion or argumentation. Okay? So that's what that name Malak Sadak means. A person who has